Yes. Good morning, dear parents. Thank you so much for joining this session. Our topic of discussion today is how can we enhance communication with our children? This is our topic that we are going to discuss today. We shall have an opening prayer. Then we shall have some simple introduction. We expect Mr. Ronald to be here, but in case he's not yet here, we shall proceed. And then we shall have our presentation from Mrs. Pamela Nabwire. And then afterwards, in case you have some questions you'd love to ask, then you can be able to ask. And then lastly, we shall have the closing remarks. So that is how our program is going to move on. So we can humble ourselves and have a simple prayer. Loving Father, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for bringing us here as parents. We want to ask you for your guidance as we go into this session, that whatever is going to be discussed into this session, you may help us to put it into practice, and that you may help us to have a good communication with our children, such that we can be in position to nurture the next generation in the right direction. We make this through Christ our Lord. Yes, thank you so much once again, dear parents, for joining and for sacrificing your time to be here such that we can be able to learn together. This is going to be a sharing session where we shall share as parents. In case there is anything you want to share, in case there is anything, please always feel free to share such that we can learn from each other. Communication is one of the key things that at times we may tend to ignore, but their impact or the cost for poor communication may really go astray and may lead to future challenges. So we thought it wise that if we can have a session on how we can help each other to better our communication with our children. We are parenting children who are really into the digital world, who know a lot, even more than what we may be knowing. But the only thing they lack is the experience. But as parents, we may have the experience, but for them, they have been so much exposed. So we need to improve on our communication such that we do not have any future challenges when we are parenting these children. So today, our major concern or our communication, we are going to be delving into how we can make the communication better with our children such that we do not have any gaps between the children and us as parents. So allow me now. I think when I look through the chat, I think Mr. Ronald has not been able to join, but allow me now to welcome our facilitator, Mrs. Pamela Nabwire, to take us through today's discussion. Mrs. Nabwire, you are most welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kaziba. Am I loud and clear?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Right. So there is no video, right? Just
Yes.
to be clear.
Yeah, there's no video.
Okay, great. Good morning, participants, dear parents. It's an honor for me to you today and share. I cannot claim to be an expert, like Mr. Kaziba had said. We are going to share. Shall share the knowledge. My name is Pamela Nabwire, as mentioned. An educator, life skills mentor, and parenting coach. I love everything to do with family, and in my free time, I like to organize spaces. Without wasting any time, I would like us to delve into our discussion for today. Use my voice. I have a bit of a cold today, so let's move to the first slide. How can we enhance communication with our children? So I'll start by defining what communication is. Communication, the activity or process of expressing ideas and feelings, or giving people information. That's according to the dictionary. And Another definition is communication is the sending and receiving of information. Can be one-on-one or between groups of people, and can be face-to-face or through communication. Currently, we have all these forms of communication, face-to-face, through devices, and one-on-one. Let's move to the next slide. There are two concepts here. Unconditional love should not only be the basis for our communication, but it is also the ultimate way we develop the rapport that characterizes healthy. We need to think about the moral intimacy because it forms some of the guiding principles in our communication as individuals and as families that helps to draw the bond even closer. And then another concept is having shared values, morals, makes it easy for people to get along. However, communication skills are not a substitute for common or shared values. What does this mean? Communication skills are not a substitute for common or shared values. We have all encountered people well. Meet this person and you give it to a speaker. They know the right words to say, when and where. But it doesn't mean that you share the same values. So we need to be careful. Slide, please. Slide. Positive non-verbal communication includes smiles, body language, eye contact, and tone of voice. And it strengthens relationships with children and parents. Now, when we talk about, if we are to peel off this onion about positive non-verbal communication, many times as parents, we find ourselves being nice to everybody else, smiling to people outside our homes. And yet when we come home, the children do some of us for the children don't know the smiling side of us. We are always tough thinking about do instead of creating the warmth that they. And then the body language, this is expressed in many different ways. Sometimes your body language is a turn off. Do we hug our children? You know, do we, just having that, do we see? These are all forms of different body language. There are many ways in which we can express our body. Then eye contact. This is in context of different cultures. The Western culture, which influences us most of the time, it's important for you to give direct eye contact. Then when we come down to Africa, for example, there are some cultures in Uganda where it is rude to look at. I believe you've encountered people who, when you're having a conversation, they are looking everywhere else except at your face. So you wonder, is this person shy? Do they lack self-confidence? Or, you wonder, they begin to look dubious. But those are the cultural aspects that we need to cut across when we are raising children. We need to pass on these things because the world we are in today is a global village. Imagine you have somebody on Zoom, it's a Zoom call, and the person is looking elsewhere. There's no eye contact. So you begin to wonder whether they are interested in you anyway. And then when it comes to tone of voice, we need to be mindful that tone of voice contributes 38% of our communication. And that is where we miss it sometimes. Depending on your mood, children are very interesting. I've encountered many who say, Mom is always shouting or Dad is always yelling. When do they get to experience the side of you? Your tone of voice, even if you're angry, sometimes you don't need to shout. But again, we need to learn from those parents who speak nicely to their children. I've encountered families where the parents are just nice. You want that niceness to rub on you. Those are some of the things we have to teach ourselves. And positive nonverbal communication helps children build communication and skills. Because today, as we realize, we know that the tech world, the digital world is part of our life, part and parcel of our lives. Now, how are we going to strike a balance between them being engaged on their gadgets and developing communication skills? Because you realize that when children who are so engaged with technology are not good at interaction, and we are losing it day by day. If you look at young people seated in a group, everyone is engaged on their gadgets, even in our family setting. Why don't we learn to put down those gadgets and say, let's have a chat? That's why we have children popping English like, like. I'm just like, you know what? Be clear in your articulation of words. And other skills will be developed, the team skills, the creativity. If we don't have these things, we are blocking our children's development. Role modeling, everyday communication and play are ways to help your child learn about nonverbal communication. Parents, we have role models, like a quote that says that what you do speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you say. And that's a quote by Ralph Waldo Emerson. What you do speaks so loud that I cannot hear what you say. So your children watching, even if you're telling them do this, they are watching your actions. Next slide, please. Now, why do children get to stages of not talking? Parents, this is a time for us to examine ourselves. Let's look in the mirror. Let's look in the mirror, especially for those that need us. Communication is a skill we learn along the way. Our backgrounds might not have been the best, but we can do better by ourselves. And I like the fact, I want to appreciate those that have looked in. We are looking for ways to learn more, to do better by ourselves so that we pass on, we correct the mistakes that we have made with our children. It's never too late to correct them. So one of the things why children get into stages of not talking, they say, my parents don't talk to me. There is this tendency of just limiting it to, oh, how was school? Fine. Is the homework done? Yes. Have you made dinner? Have you done the dishes? It is, it's limited to instructions, just questions which are yes and no. We need to get into the stage of asking open-ended questions, because usually when I'm engaging with children, I like to tell them, tell me more. How was your weekend? My weekend was fine. And what else? Tell me more. Even with adults, you realize there are people who don't know how to hold conversations. You ask them about something and they'll say, I'm fine. What explains you're fine? Give us a bit more flesh so that we can build rapport. And these are skills that we need to teach our children. The next bullet is, my parents don't listen anyway. There's that way in which we create that nonverbal communication. We send those signals, and remember, our children know us quite well. They know us quite well in some way. You send signals, say, for example, you're on your phone, your child comes to talk to you, and you're you're distant, you're very disengaged, and they get the sense of it's not the right time to talk to mom or dad. So they will always walk away and find other ways of occupying themselves, or find somebody else to talk to. That's why you find that some children closer to the maids than to their parents. Why is that, and why are we letting it slip through, especially in our day and age? Next point is, the children say they answer before I even finish. Now, as our parents, I mean as adults and parents, we need to ask ourselves, do we listen to, do we wait for them? Do we here to, for us to answer, just to answer what they are, respond to what they are saying, or we internalize and then understand from their point of view? You a good listener, parent, and this is listening is a learned skill. We need to teach ourselves to listen. Sometimes they don't need for you to talk, give advice. No, just listen. And then there's this one: we never agree anyway. You know, as parents, because you are fixated in your way of thinking, you have your way of doing certain things. You assume that you tend to box the children in. You know, they need to conform for what you want. It depending on whatever the situation. You really don't. You don't need to. You know, keep. Oh, excuse me. You don't need to always say no, 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 because there was a statistic that says that children hear no's in so many times in their lifetime by the time they're 18. So it causes them, and that creates a state of cold war. You know, they slide into silence as a defense mechanism. Yet at the bottom, in there, they are they have raging emotions just because they can't talk to you, they can't express themselves as young children. Then they wait for you as they grow up. They are waiting for that time. There is nothing to talk about their parents. This goes to those families where it is free flow. You do what you want at whatever time. I've had many parents say that, in this household, everybody has their time. Now, when do you have that shared time? And because of that, it's going to lead us to situations where everybody drifts off into their own world. Those who are seeking solace in with gadgets will go into gadgets, and we know the effects that come with too much engagement, the pornography we are experiencing with our children today, the drug abuse. It's at the bottom of it is something that has been brewed, and it begins within the immediate community. What has gone wrong in their environment? That is where we need to. When we say, when we talk about some of the effects today, where people are saying mental health, anxiety, these are things that are being bred from internet use, because children are constantly comparing themselves with others. And it's not a perfect world out there. It's not perfect. Because of that pressure to be like somebody, to be one, to catch up with the trends, so much is happening so quickly. How are we drawing our children out to make sure that we touch base with them and we know what is actually happening? So because of that emptiness, the void, something is going to feed it. They are obviously going to look for something to fill those spaces. That is where the peers come into play. The peers have the time to listen to them. And you, the parent, you are busy looking for the money. So these things we need to look at ourselves and examine ourselves as parents. We together so far? Please give me a thumbs up if we are together. Let's move to the next slide. Now, we need to know that as children grow up, remember communication starts right from when a child is in others. Talk to the child, read to them. If you're one of those people who loves music, you'll be dancing all the time. And is this is ingrained in your child. They grow up in the womb. Then you finally give birth. This child comes and the process just continues. Now, remember that the child has gone right from the womb through the stages of infancy, gone over that that stage where 5, 6, where you're instructing and training. Now they finally become teen, the transition stage, where they are trying to understand themselves. And, they are bridging the gap. They're thinking, okay, now I'm not a child exactly, but I'm into this season. I've entered a new phase. They are discovering themselves. Now, this brings into play the experiences that they have gone through over the years, their childhood years. It doesn't mean that you as a parent, you're going to step away. No. They need you more than ever. Of course, you're not going to stroke their heads like you used to when they were little. No. There's that little girl in your daughter you always imagine, oh, my baby, even when I went to the bathroom, she used to follow me all the time. She kept giving me hugs. But now they're teenagers and the hugs are embarrassing to them. There are some moms who are so affectionate and their sons tell them, mom, please don't hug in front of my friend. It's embarrassing to them. So now we need to think, how do we guide our children to navigate through that stage while maintaining. But also, let's be mindful that not all children are rebellious, not all teenagers are rebellious. At some point, I'll request some parents to share with us how their journey has been, their parenting journey has been. Because some have had it smooth, and for others, it has been a bit challenging. Where did it go wrong? I'll start off with a quote by William White. The most profound failure in communication is assuming that it has occurred. Why don't our teens listen? And these are some of the reasons. One is my folks don't do what they say. So why should I listen? Remember the role modeling. We give more instruction and we do not, we don't hold ourselves accountable for ourselves as parents. There shouldn't be a very big difference between what you say and what you do. It's not do as I is it you don't do as I say but not do as I do. No, monkey see, monkey do. So parents, this what we require of our children, we should be able to mirror so that you have a moral you have moral authority as you speak to this child. They will not have it in their head. They will not question to say that why are you telling me this yet? And remember, they are not telling you. It's they, for some will not tell you, but others will throw it in their faces. You don't do it anyway. Why are you telling me to do this? And then another point is, I have heard it a dozen times. Sometimes we speak and speak, but of course, as a parent, you never stop speaking. You keep saying, but how you say it also matters, which takes us back to the tone of voice. That's when we get into zones where children switch off. You start talking, the moment you start talking, they switch off, they zone out, and you are talking, talking, talking. So where is the element of stopping and listening? We need to always ask our children, why did you do this? Where is it coming from? Sometimes children surprise you. You have raised them up. They were good children. They were listening, obedient. And then suddenly they snap out of it. And you're thinking, hey, what happened? They become aggressive sometimes. They don't listen. They are yelling. And sometimes you need to calm down, bring them down, and have that one-on-one. Let's understand each other. Another point is my parents are sarcastic and put me down. Now remember, our children are different. They are different. We have in African culture especially, we have this tendency to 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 say rude remarks at people. You pick out on, say, someone's appearance. Say, for example, oh, look at that one's nose. That nose looks a certain way. And, it's something that is affecting their self-esteem, but you carry it as a joke in the home. Or the way they look, I mean, the way they do something, they are always lazy. So you keep rubbing it in, rubbing it in. You don't expect much from them. If they've performed a certain way, or they've gone for an interview somewhere, you're like, I didn't expect much from you anyway. That's why you're always failing. I don't expect much. So remember that teenagers, don't forget these put downs. And these are the things that are going to affect their self-esteem as they grow up to adulthood. Remember, they carried some insecurities right from childhood. So it's a process that is just growing and growing. And then the last point under why teens don't listen is my parents don't expect to listen. We must remember, again, like I said earlier, not all teenagers are defiant. So don't carry that stereotype as a parent that, teenagers don't listen. Then you start making those negative confessions that, teenagers, I'm worried, I have this 13, 14-year-old. I don't know how it's going to be. You're already confessing, you're speaking into that season. Speak positive, be positive, handle each day as it comes. And of course, as a parent, if you have been living out the positive principles, it won't be a difficult journey. I mentioned having the moral authority. You will have the moral authority when you speak against something. For example, you've told them, in this household, your curfew is, say, 7 p.m. They have to make sure that by that time, and of course, that should come with consequences if they've skipped the curfew. There is a quote here by King Solomon that the tongue has the power of life and death, and those who love it will eat its fruit. So let's be careful what we say to our children. Do we have any questions so far? Or we shall address them at Mr. Kaziba, kindly advise.
Okay. In case you have any burning question, maybe from what Mrs. Pamela has so far presented, maybe you can raise up your hand or you can put it in the chat, but also I can allow you to unmute in case you are really failing. In case there is any question you want, yes, you can unmute and then ask. Okay. I think we are good. We can first finish maybe.
Okay. Next slide, please. Communication is a vehicle to transfer thoughts, emotions, feelings, and ideas. But it doesn't just happen. It begins by creating a climate of trust. How are we creating that climate of trust? Positive communication is a bridge that connects hearts and minds, fostering harmony and understanding. That's supported by John Maxwell. At this point in time, I would like Mr. to kindly play that video.
Any parent? Okay, I think they're still thinking. There's another one. How can I deal with a child who is at the level of attention seeking?
Okay. One is, how many children do you have? How many children do you have, and how available are you to them? Because They are seeking for your attention because you're probably not available, or there are other siblings to whom you give more attention than them. Find ways of spending time and try to discover what their love language is, because that is also where it begins. I hope you know about the love languages, that the spending time, the touch, the gifts and acts of service. How does that child want to relate with you? Is it when you are in the kitchen doing something or doing the dishes? I don't know. Or is it when you want to go somewhere and they are clingy, they want to go with you? Just find out. One is find out their love language. Two is find ways of giving them time, specialized time, say just 5 minutes of your day. That is if you're a working parent, or even if you're a stay-home parent, find a specific time where you do an activity with them that they're interested in, so that they know that, oh, I've had this. Even when they come to you after that, you can tell them, please wait, I'm with your sister, because they have those interruptive things of wanting to interrupt every time, every time. Now, you need to start drawing the boundary calmly but firmly. So have the specialized time, one, and then two is find out their love language, and then be intentional with every single child so that they learn to know that, okay, dad is doing this, let me give him time. Or mom is with the baby, let me give her time. Or involve them in some of the other activities that you're doing. And get them to talk, to express themselves, why they like to spend so much time with you. It's an opportunity to hear them out. Give them a hearing. How do you respond when they report matters to you? So there are so many dynamics that come into play, especially in a family setting. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Okay. In case there is another question, kindly ask, or you can raise up your hand, or you can unmute and ask in case you have any other question that has not been answered yet, or any parent who may want to share the parenting journey and how you are handling. Kindly feel free to unmute and then you can share.
Okay, as that parent thinks through, um, just to summarize, let's be intentional parents that are willing to open the communication, the lines of communication. Let's build that communication with our children, and it starts from right when they are young. And if there was some damage along the way, it doesn't hurt to start. It doesn't hurt to start. Go to your child's room and sit down and have a chat with them. Go out shopping with them. Find something. If you're a farmer, go to the garden with them. Let them tag along. Just try to be involved. Be part of their activities. What do they like to do? Be involved. If you're one of those parents who doesn't go to school, make an effort and go to school. Visitation day. Don't dump them in schools. Go and visit your children. Even when they come back on holiday, make time, Papa. Take leave for the working people, the corporate people. Plan your leave around your children's holidays so that they know that, out of the 1 month's holiday, there are some 3 days. And also guard your weekends. You don't have to go to every function. Or when you go, take one of them so that you share that time with them. They have that individualized time with you. Just building rapport. And for those who can, date your children. Take them out for a date or for a walk so that you have that one-on-one talk out of the group. I know, like I already mentioned, we like to take, it is swimming, they all go. You take all of them. And then it is Kayola, or when you've gone with them, you on your laptop or on your phone, get off the gadget and give them focused attention. let's try to give our children focused attention. We give our children, other people the best of us, and we give our family members the rest of us. So think about it. Somebody says they want to share. Please share.
Mr. Yeah, okay.
Hello. Hello. From Korea. Hello,
Yes, you are
speaking.
clear.
Am I
Yes,
being heard?
Elizabeth, you are clear.
Okay, okay. I just thank Pamela for the presentation. I think it will help me more because parenting is a journey, as we all know. I just want to share my experience. It's not been so good. You asked for the bad and the good. I think I'm on the bad side. I've had several challenges in my parenting journey, but I've attended Growing Kids Good Doing because I so much want to be a good parent. I was the last born, probably I didn't get a chance to learn how to parent. I feel at some point it was my fault because I got my first son when I'd taken years without conceiving. So I think I was so lenient at first. And in the process, I think I failed as a parent. The beginning here, because by the time my son was, he was not listening, have to talk several times for him to do something. I used to get complaints from school, but ever since I became intentional about parenting, attending several seminars, doing whatever it takes, I'm getting a difference in my journey. Maybe the other challenge I've been having is that this was the first son, so you know how children can copy from their big siblings, from their big brothers or sisters. So it has challenged me a little that the first one was doing what I don't want, and the second one was copying the first one, and the third one was copying the second one. So it's been a little challenge, but I'm improving day by day. That's what I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your experience.
Hello everyone. I hope I can. I just want to share my experience. I've got two teenage sons. I think the main thing is intentionality. So when they were little, I spend time with them. Like you talk with people, think that because they are little children, you don't have to talk to them. You just have to give instructions, not normal chatting, you know. So I started any drives to school or anything like that. I intentionally talk to them to ask, how are you? You know, after school, instead of asking like, how was your day? I would ask things like, so what made you happy today? Just to see how they were doing. Also, didn't have a lot of screen time, if at all. More reading, more being involved, cooking, doing things that involved them. And for people that maybe pack lunch, I used to write little posts, like little notes in their lunch box, so that when they get to school and it's time for lunch, and you know, they find these little things that were positive, you know, or either telling them something nice or reminding them of something or a quote that they can understand at that age. So I think it's a lot of intentionality and, again, grace of God, because at the end of it all, it's to be intentional and to learn that children, I've got two, but they're all different personalities. So to cater to each one's personality, not paint them with the same brush. Yeah, a lot of what Pamela has said, I try to read as well, and try to put into action strategies here and there. So yeah, but also the grace of God essentially, but also intentionality. That's all I can say. Thank you.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing.
There was someone else. Was it Agnes who wanted to share? Someone who had unmuted. Was it Ruth? Ruth, you wanted to share something?
Can I share?
Yes, go on.
Good morning to you all. Yeah, I wanted to share. I have 3 biological children, and then about 6 of them that are not biological. So the journey also, the older ones, I have 2 older ones who are already working at the moment. And the journey with them was in the beginning, like it's the first time you're raising children. And everything you do, it's a test, and you want to see how they're doing. But what I want to thank God about the older ones is I know when you're new parents, you're involved, even including the father is involved. But what they keep sharing with me is that they can never, ever forget what their father ever told them when they were growing up. So when they went to university and right now they are out of the country, they keep remembering and say, Dad used to tell us this. Dad used to. So the importance of the dad in a girls, especially girls, space, having that time together with them, it was really, really, and they will not forget. They never forget. As the mothers, we keep saying and talking sometimes, like you mentioned and said, you talk and talk and talk. Sometimes they will pick. Now I just picked a girl from school and she was sharing. I say, remember you told us this, remember? And this friend of mine was going through this or this situation. And I was trying to help them. So whatever we speak, we may think that is coming from one ear to another ear, but they remember, they pick 1 or 2. So let's not forget to share whatever we share. So now in between there was a gap between the 2 older ones and this last one. So somehow, I think I took things for granted. So she kind of tried to stray away, but now I'm getting back. And, they don't like this thing of being on their case. Like I was on her case all the time. I say, and until she was like, no, mommy, I think you're too much for me. Like I am reprimanding her all the time, reprimanding until she told me that I think it's too much So now I started now looking for the good things that she does, as you said, praise the little thing, affirm the little things that she does. And now we are getting much closer and closer. And even the other children that I take care of, in the beginning it's hard, especially taking care of the children that are not yours. It's kind of very hard. You want to reprimand her, and then somehow other people say, why are you doing that? So, but now I am seeing from the time they came in, and even now, things have changed. They are much better children because of their talking, because of the examples that we give them. And one of them was just sharing and saying that, you keep talking about this. You told us this, you shared with us this, and this is what they shared at school. And these things really are a blessing. So those are my experiences I've shared. I know raising children is not very easy, but we thank God for everything. And I want to say thank you for the videos that you have shared. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Irene, for sharing your experience. We shouldn't tire from talking. Thank you. Yes, Mr. Kazuba.
Yes, maybe I wanted to find out whether there is any other that really wants to share something before we end the session. Okay. Yes, thank you so much, dear parents, for sharing. Okay, yes, Isaac. Unmute, Isaac.
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, me, I'm not a parent, but I'm a teacher. But I do more of parenting here at school. These children I do normally teach. I take them as my children, and they have reached the point of, because engaging these learners, and because in the school where I teach, there are different teachers, and the way they look at these children doing something bad, the only option they want to do is caning. The first thing they think about actually is caning. When I saw this, when we were sharing about this parenting, I said I need to join this because I need to learn more how to deal with learners, how to deal with young children. But when I see that actually it is not about training that can bring positive change in a young child, instead is how you engage. And my experience is engagement surely has worked more than beating, because when you beat a child with a cane, you're conditioned. When you're not there, this child will actually say, I'm out of prison, now I can do whatever I want. But if you engage, help this child to know what you have done is not right, you're supposed to do this. This child, there is a way this child positively changes instead of being conditioned that actually when I do this, it's going to beat me. And sometimes they get used to those punishments that are giving to them. Instead, what I've seen is engagement is very much important, and the communication. And I want to thank the facilitator for taking us through this. We are keeping on learning. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Isaac, for sharing.
Okay.
Welcome.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much, dear parents. We are planning that in fact, we shall have a session in December, and we are planning that every month we shall have at least one of these sessions running to help each one of us to learn and become a better parent. So also next month of November, we shall have another session. We shall let you know of the topic. But in case there's any other topic you'd wish us to have in our discussion, you can share it such that we can prepare better and make more research within that particular topic you want us. Then also in December, we shall have another session. So we are planning that every month we can come together as parents and we keep reminding ourselves about the different basics that we must have for in our parenting journey. Then in December, we shall have a session where we shall have our children come in for the camp such that we can give them their package. We shall give the package to the children in December. We shall have a camp where we shall have all our children gather in the different age groups, and we see how we can nurture the best generation that will replace us when our God calls us. So that is what we are planning because we want to have the best children. We want to have the best generation to help us solve many of the problems we may be facing now. I don't know whether Teacher Pamela has something before we close.
Mine is a vote of thanks to you parents for making time to equip yourself. And to Mr. Kaziba, thank you for coordinating this. There's a lot of work you do behind the scenes. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much, parents, and God bless you on your journey.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. Okay, Mrs. Betty, I've seen the topic you have suggested. We are going to copy it, and then we shall have more discussion. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely day. We shall share the link on the YouTube, and we shall share it in the different WhatsApp groups. Thank you, and have a lovely weekend.